What's up, guys? I'm gonna see if this camera's still in reverse image over there, all messed up. Got a lot of things to say today. I'm gonna explain a lot of things to you guys today. Let's see. Explain a lot of things to you guys today. Yeah, it's backwards again. Don't mind the mess. I'm getting ready to pack up and move soon. Is there a transform button or something? What's this? Retouch? No. Oh god, this green screen thing again. Now I can't get the green screen off. Oh my god. Okay, I might have to restart the stream because it's going crazy. And now there's a green screen and it's like, oh, there, okay. Well, now I can't get the green screen off. We're doing this again with the stupid green screen? Here's myself in the forest. Okay, I'm in the forest. I'm sorry, guys. Google's been acting crazy. The cameras are backwards. Everything's messed up. How do I turn this off? You know, I might as well stay in the forest. Oh my god. Let's stay in the forest, okay? My god. The camera's backwards. I'm sitting in the forest. I'm gonna give... Oh, this is the first time I haven't had 20 bots come to the channel. When I first started stream. Let me put do not disturb on so we don't get all this crazy beeping. Alright. I'm gonna sit in the forest. That's pretty cool. Alright. You give people a couple of seconds to join in, see if the bots come. Oh, well, it's nice for once. I don't have 20 bots, but now it's not even showing. What's going on here? That's interesting. Am I still streaming? Yes, don't mind the mess. I'm getting rid of it. We'll test it live and see if everything's working. All right, I'm in the forest. Everything seems to be working. We'll give people a little more time, see if anybody jumps in. I can see the chat on the big screen. All right. So I'm gonna give you guys the scoop as much as I legally can. And also address some of the people in the community, if you want to call it that, who have been less than communal in the most professional way I can. Yeah, but this is my personal channel, so I tend to be, you know, more honest and forthcoming here, you know, and people who are corrupt and abusive don't seem to like that, and take, like, you know, it's you know, the whole narcissistic reactive abuse thing. They like to take somebody's, you know, when you abuse somebody long enough and they finally stand up for themselves, they say, see, he's mean, he's crazy, he's a bad guy. So we're gonna address everybody, and I'm gonna give everybody the scoop of what's going on, and like put my pins and everything, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and where we're going. I'll give you the whole spiel. What's up, everybody? Waiting to see. First you get a wave of random people. Ah, you just found the man. Oh, cool. Man drinking coffee in the forest. I accidentally tried to fix the camera being backwards, and then the green screen came up and I couldn't take it off. So now I'm sitting in the forest. Actually, I should get more coffee before it starts. So normally, I'll get 20 people who I've never seen before, and some bots, ChatGPT, whatever it is, version 1. But now, I'm going to wait till... I've learned the system, guys. I've learned how it works. First, Google will come in, they'll send you bots, and then a whole bunch of people talking nonsense, and then those people get bored, and then we can start the show. So... Welcome to the Renegade Monk in the Concrete Jungle Living in the Forest show. I'll be there in a second. see, what was it? Ratty Skull? And it's like, and Death Doll or something. It was like a cartoon. It was like a cartoon meme back in the day. It's like, I like my coffee boiling hot. So, give me a second. We'll get the show started. I'll give you guys a scoop. Because we know how everybody loves drama. Everybody loves drama in the world. That's how we do it. Look, I'm going to magically appear. Okay, the bots left. Good. So we have 4 people. I'm assuming 4 people that I hopefully know. I'm not going to press the button to see who's in here. Okay. Do I look pretty? Okay. So, I got a call from Sifu Shirley that someone sent a clip of my last stream to someone in her circle, to try to make me look like I'm doing something in a negative light, and, the thing I've learned about when, coming from an abusive life and then becoming an advocate and a vigilante hero, and I've been like the voice of the voiceless my entire life, taking the arrows to groups of people, and anybody from like the Facebook days knows, I was the one standing up for everybody the whole time, right? I got attacked by everyone, So no one knows more about surviving, crazy attacks from all kinds of people, especially people you care about and people you're trying to help, okay? And that's the worst. You can only be betrayed by people who are in your close circle, and loneliness doesn't come from being alone. Loneliness comes from knowing that the people you care about don't give a shit about you, okay? So it's just my nature. Since I was a kid, I hate bullies. I hate bullshit. I've always been that guy who I don't normally fight for myself, but I'll fight for other people. It's always been my thing. And what you see from me here on my channel, I freak out on people, is because I spent the last 20 years in the Tai Chi community and other places being like, the emblematic of everything you think the good guy would do. I do charity work, I protect the innocent people, I give free help to everybody. I sat here for over a decade giving free advice and coaching, right? I'm the only one in the community who's ever done this, and I never got credit for it, okay? And there's hundreds of people who will attest to this. I've been here over a decade giving out free lessons, trying to be a good, outstanding member of the community, and I got attacked for it constantly. And nobody ever stood up for me. No one ever stood up for me. Is this camera crooked, or was it just my brain? So, you can't complain when I finally snap and say, go fuck yourselves, okay? Because a lot of people deserve it. And I think it's odd in the martial arts community, we're supposed to be like, warrior culture. You're supposed to defend the innocent, all like the stuff you hear in like the hero books. And and then you try to like take down the hero. It just boggles my mind. So I'm gonna get into the whole story in a minute. I'm just waiting for more people to show up because I don't want to have to repeat myself 40 times. And you know how when I start to rub my mouth, it goes for 3-4 hours, whatever it is. So I'm gonna sit in the woods drinking my tea and coffee, whatever you want. But it's been a ride. So. We're in strange times, guys, and it's like the whole society is infected with this cluster B, unchecked cluster B disorders, where the good people who are trying to live their lives and do the right thing have been trained that they have to like sit down and shut up and take abuse from people with actual psychiatric conditions that are running rampant. Minimum 2 out of 5 people have a cluster B disorder, and look at the damage that's been done to our society. Okay, and nobody stands up and checks it, and no one ever fights for the people who are being abused. I survived all kinds of abuse my entire life. As a kid, up until I was old enough to stand up for myself, I was big enough. I went through crazy things, and I know what it's like to not be able to speak up for yourself. So by the time I was 14, I became a vigilante. I joined the Guardian Angels. I wanted to be a superhero, and I spent my life doing all kinds of superhero vigilante stuff. Okay. I can't obviously talk about the things I've done, but I tried to be the good guy superhero. So when a situation like what's going on happens, I'm gonna, I have no choice. I have to stand up and be the superhero guy. And instead of people giving me credit, I get crapped on. And then the other good people who've been trained that you're supposed to take abuse and oh, you have to be nice and you can't stand up for yourself. Bad people don't stop being bad from you talking with them with nice words. You can't be nice to evil. If a guy's like abusing your daughter or your sister, you're not gonna go up to him and be like, hey sir, will you stop beating and sexually assaulting the innocent women, the corporations. Oh, will you please stop robbing people and ripping them off until they die? You can't be nice to these people. I'm not saying you have to be physically violent, but you have to have violence of action. You need some fire in your heart. You have to find the warrior in you and stand up and do stuff and be like a community again. So that's the 3 points I'm going to go over about what's behind my life purpose, but why I've worked with Shirley to create the Tai Chi United brand and what the brand what I want it to represent, but also why it has to be done this way. Okay, because nobody else stood up in time who was qualified to do it, and nobody else will take the arrows. But there's 3 things we have to talk about is in the general community, not just because what's happening in the microcosm, happening in the macrocosm. Okay, you have corruption, you have a lack of standards, and you have a lack of understanding what community is supposed to be because there's no honor and virtue. There's no philosophy. People don't believe in God or spirituality. People who do Tai Chi now, they don't believe in Buddhism and Taoism. They don't care about that stuff. Tai Chi is like a hobby. Martial arts or even regular martial arts. I see this stuff on TikTok, and it's horrendous. Our masters are rolling in their graves. The stuff that's going on is horrendous. It's so bad. The quality level of martial arts schools, traditional martial arts. What does it mean? It means you wear a costume and you play karate, you play Tai Chi, you do a dance, and then you go home. That's not martial arts. That's not tradition. Tradition means you hold and uphold the traditional values of succession. You follow the order and the decorum. You live by the philosophy. And if you live by the philosophy, sometimes you can't be nice. Sometimes you have to tell somebody you're a dick. Okay? And obviously as a professional, I'm not going to do that on a branded channel. I'm not going to do that with a company, but on my personal blog, I'm going to tell people you're a dick. You're a piece of shit. You're a bad person. Okay? Because me as an individual, I have my right to my own opinion. You guys suck. You guys are not good people. You don't have any spirituality. You don't have any philosophy. You don't have any honor or decorum. You don't stand up for each other. You bully people. You gang stalk people. You rob people. And then it's happening across the board. It's not just to me. It's happening to all these people. From the corporate level of the government, from the government down to the corporations, down to society, down to the individual, it's infected with this literally cluster B disorders and logical fallacy. And right now, with the remnants of the left, look at it. It's just cluster B disorders and logical fallacies. That's all we're dealing with. So when I go into the whole story about this, I hope you can put this all together because what's happening there is happening everywhere. We're in a sea of demonic activity, and then you expect me, because I'm standing up against it and I'm expressing it with some emotion that I'm a bad guy. No, you guys should be angry. You guys should be more angry than me. I'm expressing anger for everybody. It's I don't get it. Okay, so first of all, let me explain as much as I can without, because it's legal issues why I can't say certain things, okay? But there's a lot of corruption going on. And what was happening to Sifu Shirley, she was basically an indentured servant, okay? And, very bad things were happening, okay? Very bad things in the background. And when you're an abused person, you get in a cycle of abuse and you can't talk about things. And then sometimes you're pinned in a position where you can't speak up. I've gone through this in my life as a child and even as an adult, where there's corporate legal things I can't do, or there's people because of my honor code, when people hurt me, the right thing to do is just don't cause drama, don't speak up for yourself. Okay, or people who were close to me robbed me and destroyed my life. And then when the system came after me for speaking the truth and trying to be a hero and save people, I was I can't speak up. Like, I wasn't allowed to speak up about why I got freaking banned from freaking Facebook, because if I said the reason, they banned me here. So it's like this levels of abuse are systemic, and it's disgusting. Like, the things that I've had to survive that I'm not allowed to talk about, because if I speak about it, I'll lose my last bit of my voice. And I'm watching it happening to Shirley on many levels, right? So it's like I had to stand up and say, oh, I have to do something. So on the first level, the whole idea of Tai Chi United is that, from the corruption standpoint, is somebody had to come and save the school and save, because what was happening was people with very nefarious motives were trying to destroy her life and her life's work. People and I know what it's like to have a parent, turn on you and like try to destroy your life. Okay. And it's very similar, and it's really sad. Okay. And, to the person who sent my clip to one of the people in her circle today, trying to cause more drama, you're a disgusting human being. Like, I did what those people wouldn't do. And, it's like, it's not about like me being more qualified. It's people knew what was happening and nobody stood up. Nobody stood up and no one banned around her. And I'm the only one in this community, I'm going to say it again. Over a decade on this channel alone, I've been giving out free help, free support. And when I was going through the darkest moments of my life, no one offered to help me. No one came and stood up for me. Okay? The things that I was going through, and I was still fighting for everybody, fighting for humanity. Okay? I'm trying to be the superhero guy. And nobody stood up for me. So when I look at the situation happening with her, and people are hearing, and people on the inside know what's going on, but no one is banding and like protecting her. Okay? And it's not right. So, in one sense, like, I've been training her for, over a year, like, almost like 2 years, 2 years, whatever it is. And, obviously I've imparted a lot of like information about like, and like improved things a lot. And we'll get into that. About the second reason is like, I want to create standards for the community because there's no standards. So it was a natural thing to do, but somebody had to come in and take the arrows so that other people in the situation in the background, who everybody knows, couldn't destroy her life for petty reasons, because these people were, what they were doing was so, and even if it's legally okay, it's morally reprehensible, it's disgusting. And that person's ancestors are flipping in their grave because they have no honor. And the fact that the people are questioning, my disposition or like what my intention is, and I feel bad because some people I wasn't able to introduce myself to, but it's because I don't have a way to introduce myself to them. They're not active. I don't see them on social media. I don't see them in the videos, and if you're offended that I introduced myself, I had no way of introducing myself because you're not active. I don't see you, right? It's not that I have anything against you. In fact, like the whole point of Tai Chi United is the same as my expert movement model, which was destroyed during COVID and someone very close to me robbing me, okay? I'm basically giving her the model. It's not that I want to take over the whole, there's a lot going on, but it's not that it was to exclude anybody. In fact, it's actually to include more people who are of higher caliber and create standards that will make things better for everyone, not just us in our group, but across the board. Somebody has to become the leader of the industry and say, no, you can't just take a 2-hour certification, become a Tai Chi master. No, you can't just go hang out with somebody 2 or 3 times, read a couple of books, some online classes, and become a Sifu and have your own thing. There has to be a standard. Okay, somebody has to set the standards and correct this because society is falling. Okay, there needs to be an ethical and moral and physical standard when you're doing martial arts, especially. There's too many people who are paper tigers and just like, they're just charlatans. They just want to rob people and take their money and then give them this like, you have to suspend disbelief and live in this fantasy and you put on your silk pajamas. And the whole thing is corrupt. So we have to create a standard. But as for like dealing with the corruption issues, because there's corruption across the board from the top to low. But in her circle, the person who sent my video to that other person today, if you know what's going on, you should be ashamed of yourself. You all should be ashamed of yourself for not standing up, because I have less time in the game than you do. You should be angry. You should be so angry that somebody who you called a friend or a sister or a classmate or somebody in your community, somebody who's that honorable and sweet and tries to help people, and you don't get angrier than me. You've known her longer. And it's like, just because I have the expertise, I have the background, I have the certifications, I've worked as a manager, I've worked in the C-suite of several companies, I know all the ins and outs. I just happened to be the guy at the time. Okay, I wanted to retire and mind my business. Okay, I've already done enough. My whole goal was to have a little class and live in the mountains and mind my business. I've already been the superhero guy. I already stood up to freaking everybody. People on Facebook saw me do it, and I got hated from the TDS, right? All the people, I was literally trying to save your life. I told you before things were going to happen, months and years before the things would happen, and you attacked me for it, for trying to save you. Okay? So I don't know what to say. There's a lot of people who know me, a lot of people who don't know me, who see little clips on the internet and make a caricature of me. They attack this like phantom thing that I'm not. They talk about like who I'm not. Like, I'm not certified. I'm the highest certified guy in the field. I have the most time in. I have the most people know me physically in the streets, of New York. People actually know me. There's video of me in Chinatown. All the masses there know me. I was always very respectful. Everybody loved me. So, there's a reason why this humble Buddhist renegade monk lost his shit on the internet. You have to, instead of saying, oh, he's a bad guy, why don't you ask, why did this guy lose his shit? And what is wrong with these people attacking one guy by himself? What is wrong with these people attacking a girl? What did she do? Right? And the people on the inside who know the story, why aren't you angry? Why aren't you doing something to stand up? I mean, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to introduce myself to this person. Someone sent a clip of my last live stream trying to cause more drama and division, which is, I'm going to get into the community part soon. And to the person she sent it to was insulted I didn't introduce myself, but it's like, how can I introduce myself when you're inactive? I don't see you in the videos. I don't see your social media. I'm banned from social media because I was trying to be a superhero. But even then, there's no way for me to do so. It's not my fault. It wasn't meant to be a thing where you're not invited or not included. It's just nobody's standing up. I don't see you. I don't see you at the demos because I'm over 1,500 miles away. Okay? I only know what I get virtually. So when I look, the little bit I see at the channel in the videos, I never see your face. And when I don't hear about you being active, and I don't hear you as being a protector. I don't hear you standing up and saying, you're just as angry as me, and you've been there longer. So you can't be offended that I've never extended an olive branch. I don't know where you are or who you are. I've never even seen your face on video. So you can't be, I hope you're not offended, but try to understand my position, I don't understand why you wouldn't be more offended that more people aren't doing what I'm doing. And that's just my position on that. And I hope that this is an olive branch extended that, I'm doing the best I can with what I'm given, but it's a really bad situation, which people are trying to ruin someone's life who they were like worshiping the ground they walk on, and because of the way the laws work and it's a very dangerous situation. So I had to come in and take the arrows and, and fix things up, and in one hand, on the corruption level, things were being passed down wrong on purpose. People were being limited on purpose. People were being injured with no recourse. Okay? And there was, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but somebody else was, can I say this? Jeez. Somebody else came and took the part of the brand that was helped to build a little piece of it, and then without permission was going into the area and involving in events and not even showing face to the school, acting like they didn't. The things that were going on are so crazy. It's so crazy. And these people have a history of being corrupt and crazy, and nobody really likes them. So I don't understand why more people aren't standing up. And I'll tell you why. Because good people have been trained to sit down and take it. They lied to you about Jesus, okay? They lied. If you pay attention, he was not this punk who just let everybody beat him up, okay? Do your homework, okay? It's the idea that good people have to sit there and take abuse. This is how we got into a mess where we were all wearing masks, strapped in our houses, walking down the street with arrows. Take the abuse, walk into the car. Who's that? How you doing? whatever your name is. Hey, what's going on, guys? I don't know why the chat's not coming up on the big screen. I need to see the chat. Is it not showing here? Okay, connecting to live chat. Sorry about that. So there's a lot to say, but I have to say it. It's really bad, you know. And the people who are questioning, you know, my like ethics and disposition, you should be asking yourself, why aren't you angrier that somebody you care about, someone who's been nothing but sweet, who's a weaker individual, is not being protected? That's what martial arts is about. If you're doing martial arts, like, you know, there's oaths you're supposed to take, you know, like honor to the king, you know, protect the innocent, you know, live by the code. Where are all these people that you're supposed to be heroes? You're supposed to be heroes, you know? And then you talk to me like I'm the bad guy for standing up. And if you're not going to carry the weight, don't tell me how to carry it. If you're not going to stand up to these trolls, and you're not going to stand up to the people who are trying to like steal people's life's work and like destroy it because they wanted fairness, because that's really what it was. They asked for fairness and evaluation. And instead of working together and saying, you know what, like, you know, I understand you're going through a really hard time and you can't be robbed anymore and you just want you to be treated fairly and maybe given a break. No, I'm going to destroy your life. Yes, and I can't say exactly what's going on, but I'm going to try to tell you what's going on without going what's going on. And I hope you guys are smart enough and these fucking trolls aren't going to go and try to make it a thing it shouldn't be and make it worse. Because there's things I cannot say right now because there's things that are going on. Okay? So it's really bad. So that's what's going on. You know what I mean? And I gotta like say it without saying it. Do you get what I'm saying? But the people that are around us should be more angry because there's people, the guy, some unknown person sent a clip of me saying it's my school now because that's my student, and trying to make it into a bad thing to people in her circle and cause drama, right? And it's a very tricky situation, but those people know what's going on and they know the type of people that we're dealing with. They should be angrier. And while I'm sorry I wasn't able to give an olive branch, you're an inactive person I never see, I have no idea who you are, but you could have done the same. You could have stood up and said, hey, let me reach out and say, hey, I want to introduce myself. I'm this person. You know, like, let me tell you what's going on from my end. I have no way of reaching out to these people. Like, I'm 1,500 miles away. Okay, I'm living in a virtual forest. And this is why public perspective is important. Like, I've worked on crisis management teams, okay? I understand how these things work. So it's hard, and I have to play this tricky little game here. So I want to tell you guys the situation, and I also want to tell you what the real goal is and what I'm trying to bring forth. So hopefully get some more support, because we need good people to stand up. And not just about the corruption, but like just to change humanity. There has to be better standards. Okay? Like you can't look at my disposition because I'm a New Yorker. I talk like, listen, I've been giving presentations and fighting in my whole life. Yeah, I'm a fire individual. Does that make me a bad person? Like, you have to think to yourself. Like, since when do men have to speak like I'm a little mouse and I can only talk like this? They can, and especially in Tai Chi, because you talk about the history and it's like, read the history books. These guys were, it's like, they were tough guys. We need more tough guys. We need more sheepdogs. You know, like, I'm trying to bring the sheepdog back. We can't sit here and be told that you're not allowed to stand up for yourself. And if no one's going to stand up for me, don't tell me how to stand up for myself. Don't tell me I'm a bad person for telling people you're an abusive piece of shit. You're a lying scumbag. You're robbing people. You're robbing me. You're coming out to try to hurt me and other people. Don't tell me how to do it if you're not going to lift the weight for me. If you're going to come in and stand in front of me and take the arrows, then I'll follow your lead. Right? If they stand in front of you, follow them. If they stand beside you, defend them. If they stand behind you, defend them. But if you stand behind me all the way back, you don't deserve defense. You deserve to be spat on. In the old armies, if you ran away, the deserters would be shot by the guys behind them. We have to get back to the warrior culture. I'm not saying you have to be fighters, but you have to have it in your heart. You don't have to be fighting with your hands, but you have to be fighting with your heart. There has to be something you can do. During COVID, I was up there putting my ass on the line, okay? And people saw me do it, and I got my ass handed to me. Imagine one guy by himself going up against the entire system, telling the entire truth that they do not want out. Look what they did to me. Shut down my PayPal, restricted me everywhere, like ruined my life. Okay? And so many good people knew what was happening and they stayed there silent. So if I'm going to be the one to stand up and you're not going to help me lift the weight, don't talk down to me about how I stand up. That doesn't make me a bad person. I'm telling bad people to go fuck themselves. There comes a point. You saw what the indefensible martial arts jerk-off did. 3 months I tried doing the humble Buddhist thing, conflict resolution. They don't want resolution. They want drama. The only way to stop somebody who's trying to rob you and murder you and kill you in your house is with violence. So the only way to stop someone who's a freaking criminal with their words is through violent words and put them in their place. You have to have some kind of violence of action. Okay? You can't sit here and just be like, okay, me. They don't understand. Okay? So when you see me on my channel telling people, go fuck yourself, you're a piece of shit, you gotta understand the chain of events from the vegan Buddhist fucking, advocate guy coming out of the forest off of his little freaking, and I have to lose my shit. There must be a reason. Okay? There must be a good reason. So yeah, what's going on with the old school is they were trying to steal her stuff and destroy it. She was an indentured servant. She was in a terrible, terrible, terrible situation. I can't even say, but the situation she put herself in by getting her honor and her decorum and her loyalty taken advantage of by so many people. It's disgusting. If you knew how she was being bled dry, it's insane. It's insane. The numbers, wise, of what was happening, and then to see the quality of how these people, everybody was just like, let me just bleed you more. Let me just take more from you. Let me just find out how much more I can suck out of you. And then if you stand up for yourself, say, hey, I'm in trouble. I'm having personal problems. Can you please help me? And then, can you please make this more fair? Because this situation isn't fair. They're like, no, we're going to destroy you. We're going to rob you. We're going to take everything you built and destroy it. And we're going to go, these are people who should be family. That, or people that on the outside who went out of her way to build up, went and tried to take the brand that's supposed to be, it's a whole crazy thing. And I can't say any more than that. But the people on the inside and the person who sent my video trying to make this malicious thing and cause more division, you're a piece of shit. And the person who sent it to, I apologize that I was able to introduce myself, but you could have extended an olive branch also. You're not anywhere to be found. You're inactive. You should be more active. Okay? And, I didn't want, and I had no problems with you. In fact, my whole goal was to make a bedrock where we can place all these people in a way that's more, it's more marketable. Because when you have other instructors doing seminars and other people coming in, you need to have a brand that's more open. And, I don't want to say diversity because of what diversity means now, but, diversity and inclusion in the actual sense, not in this liberal, crazy, inverted, satanic sense. Okay, where people are actually treated well and have an opening to be accepted for what they do and not judge what they do. As long as you're a good person who cares about their students, who has a standard of quality, you have a place with us. That's the whole point. And it's not this thing where it's we're just and to people who don't deserve the respect. People who do not deserve the respect. If you knew what I knew, you would be vomiting. You know what? I don't think you guys have the honor left to stand up. But if it was in the 90s, people would be with freaking pitchforks. If it was back in the days in the 90s, where people still had honor and people still smack people and tell them to go fuck themselves, where I'm from, I'm Gen X, people would be outside with pitchforks. That's what would be happening right now. So I don't know how to deal with it, because then you have these little trolls, and always these little manipulative scumbags who always are trying to make things a fight and they divide people. That's what, going back to the community, there is no Tai Chi community anymore. You have these groups of these people who are narcissists that literally run by narcissists and sociopaths. And the good people need to stand up and learn to come back together. Stop taking abuse from narcissists. Stop being afraid to leave a group because they're bad people. They're bad people. Don't you get it? I'd rather be alone in my own company than be associated with people like that. You know, it's just, you're surrounded by frauds and people who do things for money and they don't care. So you can say, oh, I'm a mean person, but I have more honor and empathy than all of you combined. I'm the actual one that's trying to do the right thing, and I proved it because over 10 years more, but I'm gonna give you a decade here, everybody who's known me, I've been the most loyal, helpful, supportive, legit person. It's proven with a track record. Not a single one of these people with their bigger channels, they just try to come out and detract me and attack me. Why? Because I'm a better person than they are. I'm a better human being. I'm better at life than they are. Because everything they do is a show. It's fake. Their attitude, their persona, the camera goes off, they're a completely different person. You get me all the time. Sometimes I'm happy, I'm a humble Buddhist. Sometimes I'm going to tell you to be an asshole because I'm a real human being. They don't pay attention to vibes. Because if they pay attention to vibes, they would see the difference of what someone's intention is. Like, and on top of it, like, this is a warrior culture. What kind of warriors are going to sit there when they're seeing bad things happen and not get angry? Or if you're not going to get angry, at least take some action. The problem is they're afraid to do what I do because they know I'm right. And I make them look bad by existing because I make them question their self-worth. What kind of man or woman are you that you watch this shit happen? You know, it's, yeah, because most of these narcissistic type of people, they live in a delusion and they project reality. When you guys, I hope the real story gets to come out so you can understand how crazy that is. How, I mean, off the rails, psychotic, sociopathic, evil intentions. Where someone will, you know, maliciously go at, and just imagine, like, you worship the ground someone walks on and you know, like, you treat them like, and then, you know, your life is having problems and, you know, you can't afford what the deal you have is bad to begin with. It's a bad deal. Okay? And there's several bad deals she was involved in. And when she came and asked, listen, I'm not doing well, like, I'm having trouble. Can you please, like, cut me a break? I need help. And what you're doing isn't even fair. Can we, like, reevaluate this? And instead of working with them, they'd rather burn the village down to rule over the ashes. Okay? These are the type of people who will burn down the village to rule over the ashes. That's what you're dealing with. So, in one hand, I'm a human shield. Okay? I'm a human shield. I'm coming in, you know, we'll get into that. You know, this is an important thing, but we'll get into that. Okay? I have to finish my spiel. Well, I answer any of your questions after I'm done. It's going to be a long spiel, so you want to hang around. But, you know, on the good note, why is it good? It depends, and that's what we're trying to fix. It should be good for you as like a health exercise, basically, but a lot of that's not working because people were taught wrong on purpose. Okay? Like, there's a lot of bad people, paper tigers, okay? People who don't have the skills, don't have the knowledge, people who the internet's allowed to prop themselves up and just give them the title of Sifu, but they've never had a Sifu. Okay? People that I know, okay, who I've tried to help, who've done some really shady things. And they don't even realize it's shady because they didn't come up the ranks, they didn't have the lineage, they didn't have the interaction of putting skin in the game. You know? So there's a lot of fuckery in the Tai Chi world. A lot of fuckery. Okay? And then it's so much fuckery. And, you know, it's a lot. But on this level, I hope I've made it clear enough of what's going on in the bad end of that. People were being abused and then silenced while being abused. Just imagine that. Just being surrounded by vultures. I've dealt with that my whole life. That's why I'm like, I'm not afraid to fight. Okay, I'm not afraid. You know, it's like, people seem afraid, but you know how many hundreds of death threats, like hundreds of people, the government's trying to put me on some weird list so they can shadow ban this, and then the corporation shadow ban that, and then they take down my PayPal, they fucking steal my money from the bank, they left me to die, tried to get me to off myself, okay? Like, I've been dealing with that kind of like corruption and abuse on massive levels. You know, I was an advocate my entire life, okay? I was a vigilante superhero. People in New York will tell you. You know, I worked undercover, like, you know, defending people for a long time. So, standing alone against evil has been my life's work. That's why these trolls don't get it. I will never stop, okay? And if you were somehow able to shut me down, I will start again, and I will keep doing the same thing. You'll have to kill me, okay? Like, I'm not going to. I can't. I don't know how to do anything else. But it's that bad, okay? It's that bad. And more people should be angry at the people coming after her, not at me standing up and trying to make things better and on every scale. So that's the corruption aspect, An innocent person was being basically taken advantage of and tricked and manipulated to being an indentured servant, built up this whole thing, and then people were trying to steal it. Okay? Like right from under her nose. Wow. And this is a plan that they have for a while because it's like they had her building up somebody so that they can make it, which was like completely outside the thing. And then that person with no respect and honor goes into her area and starts interacting over there and doesn't even show up to show face. And then after that, how nobody in that circle is angry. It shows the lack that something happened in society where men have been broken. Men forgot how to be men. And then they blame me for being a man. Like it's toxic masculinity. You know what? It's time to be toxic. Okay? If that's what it takes. It's not my goal to be toxic. Anybody who knows me as like the super sweet, humble person. I say I'm quiet as hell. But if you push me too far and people notice in the street, I go from 0 to 1,000. There's no middle with me. I'm in the street and I'm working. Even if I'm working in the field, I'm like, sir, you have to go. Blah, blah, blah. And I'll let it go and I'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And then there's no in between. We're gonna go on or off. And if you push that button, there's only on. I don't play any middle ground. It's either we're this character or we're this character. I don't know how to do middle. Okay, it's either I'm gonna be diffusing or I'm gonna be rolling over you, and there's no middle ground. It's gonna go from nothing to it's over 1,000, and people are like, oh my God, he's freaking out. No, it's you've crossed the line, and now that parameter set no longer applies to you. Now you're evil, so now evil gets dealt like this. Okay, you don't get any respect. You don't get any. You were given like indefensible idiot guy. 3 months of me trying conflict resolution skills, trying to bring him in to be a friend, offering him stuff, telling him to put him in the live stream, come to the Discord. 3 months. And the guy was being disrespectful and insulting and pushing and pushing. And then finally, like, if you don't stop, it's going to be a problem. And now it's a problem. And then people are like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is who I am, And it's like, if people are going to say you don't like me, then it's too bad. You don't have to like me. But you're going to respect me. Okay, you're gonna respect me because that's what that's where we're at. So that's what's going on over there, and that standpoint. So by me coming in, it's part of the agreement, and like I've created something that's better. Okay, because I created something that's more inclusive. Okay, that's gonna have brand standards. That's going to bleed into the rest of the community because we're going to create a standard. She's honestly the sweetest person I know. It's like that's what's so crazy. So for me to get guys, me, I keep to myself. It's really hard to it's hard to piss me off, right? Because you see clips, but you don't understand what happens before those clips. It is very hard to piss me off. Okay, I got paid for that kind of people will spit, they throw drinks at you, all kinds of crazy shit. You have to just keep okay. It's hard to piss me off. Okay, I'll take a lot of shit. I also don't want to be involved in anybody else's stuff. So for me to come off of my little virtual mountain and go and involve myself, it must be for really good reasons. Okay, there must be a really good cause. You know what I mean? It's really disgusting. And all these detractors and people trying to make a big deal of it, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope the community starts to shame people. Because if you're not going to at least stand up, start shaming people for bad behavior. Because it doesn't matter if you like me, okay? There's a right and wrong. I'm an instructor, I'm a trainer, and forget the fact that I have the highest certification out of anyone in the field. I have the most time in, the most recognized people in New York City have played with me. You've seen me on video in Chinatown, you've seen me. And then these guys with these other channels who are bigger than me because of the suppression, not because they're better, because the system is screwing with me and the people will false report, all this crazy stuff. They'll come to my channel and go anywhere I am to try to hurt me and hurt my reputation. You don't think that someone should call them out? You don't think the community should be saying, you guys are bad people? Why are you supporting people who act like that. You've never seen me once go out of my way. Ever. Not once. And they're going to talk about me, I'm the bad person because I stand up for myself. If you're not going to lift the bricks, don't tell me how to lift them. Okay? There has to be some kind of like overhaul in humanity's brain where you guys understand that if you're a warrior and you have honor, there's right and wrong. I don't have to like somebody to defend. There's people I've defended I do not like. But there's a part where that person's innocent and you're seeing it, you have to be a sheepdog. It doesn't matter if you like them. There's right and wrong. Okay? And you can't be a martial artist if you don't have this sense of right and wrong. The honor code. That's what used to be taught in all the schools. You took an oath to defend the innocent, honor to the king and country. Like, it doesn't matter if you like, it's a code. It's the code, man. And nobody has the code. If you don't like me, fine. But I'm a human being doing my thing, and you see groups of people trying to like ruin my life, and no one says, oh, you're bad people. You follow the bullies. It's crazy. So anyway, now let's go into like the whole brand. Now that I got that out of the way, all right? So the whole scheme of the schematic of the Tai Chi United, when I had expert movement, the whole idea was create a platform for fitness professionals all over the world. I had 15 trainers that were going to be, because I had a branded, curriculum, right? I when I was working at the company, I invented a calisthenics program that has case studies. Very famous people did the program. It was like works very well. Okay, so I had my own proprietary system. I had my own app in the Google Play Store. I had my business was set up, and we were about to really go big with it. And same situation, very similar to what's happening to her, kind of happened. But they couldn't take it directly from me, so they tried to destroy it. And then on top of it, the system, as you see what happened to everyone, they came after me. Okay? Because you have competitors that don't want you in the field. You have political agents who don't want you to speak and have a platform, because someone like me had a voice, people would follow me. Okay? So I became a target. But anyway, the model I'm just giving her the model. Okay? And I'm going to basically help create the model, help create the curriculum, make sure there's a standard, and then I'm going to go on my merry way. Okay? But we need to have a standard, and then on top of it, we want to create a brand, because she was doing things where she'd have guys like that Scott or Doug guy who has a sword, she had Chen style guys who come in, they have all these different styles that come in, but the brand name didn't reflect that. It's more like it was giving credit to something that had no association to the work being done. It was all on some endearment. It was all emotional. There was no legitimate reason. Now you can find some legal loopholes and stupidity because people were stupid and manipulated, but in the essence of things, the work that was being done should never have been credited to that brand, because it had nothing to do with those people. Okay? So by changing the brand name to what was my brand name under, because I wasn't going to release it, right? It saved a lot of people because it was what was required. But I already had the schematic and the entire roadmap done because it was going to be my company. But I decided I don't want to deal with it anymore because I don't like you people. Okay? Like, honestly, like, you took somebody who spent his entire life doing something, who spent over a decade, giving for free, and you put a disgusting taste in my mouth. Well, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to organize it anymore. I didn't want to help people anymore. Because what was done to me is so disgusting, and the state of the world is so disgusting, I was like, I don't want to do it. But she still has a love for it, and she still has a good community of people who actually care about martial arts and care about each other and have good morals. So you know what? I'm just going to pass on the entire system to her and let them run it. So the whole idea is that with the branding, now when you invite people to come do it, it makes more sense. Now when she hires somebody, or she invites a person, they do a collaboration, or there's other trainers that come in, now there's a brand name that reflects it, and that will have a quality assurance level that has a standard, that we know the people who are there are knowledgeable, right? They're respected, they have skills, they have a track record of success, okay? And people who have no association to the work being done for over a decade don't get credit and get to steal it. Okay? That's where we're at. And if people don't like the way I'm doing it, I'm sorry. Until you get in the driver's seat, don't tell me how to drive. Until you're going to carry the load on my back, don't tell me how to lift. And until you're going to take the arrows, okay, from everybody, shut up. Because I don't see you guys being a man doing any of the work. And there's people who've been around there who were not lifting their weight. And they saw people getting abused, and all they cared about was doing it their way and their little whatever it is. And like, you know what? If we're going to be honest about it, no one's doing the right thing. And I'm coming in, who's someone who's been a manager for a whole bunch of different companies, who's seen success, okay? And you know, like me or not, I've lived that success. I've built companies. I've worked in companies. I've managed companies. I was an analyst. I was a security agent. You know, I've done all these things. I've worked on like many products, and like I can't talk about because of NDAs and stuff. But you know, under other names because the NDAs, like I've done a lot of things that give me this experience. Okay, so I'm the guy who can do the job and then make sure it's built up correctly, so that in the next 1 to 5 years, you know, there's going to be something that has value, that brings value to the community. Nobody else can do what I do. Okay, and unless somebody else can say, oh, you know, listen, the age of grandma's Tai Chi is over. Okay, like it's and there's, you know, I don't want to say his name. I saw a video of a really respected master, you know, from the Chen lineage. I don't want to say this guy, you know, I really do have respect. Like, you know, like say things. I have to say it matter of factly in my videos because I have to shock people to understand what's going on. But he made a point that in his older years now, he agreed, without mentioning me, I don't know if he even knows me, but he agreed that the lack of basic fitness and how Tai Chi, the modern styles, have been pushed to a super soft level. In your older years, you lose that strength that you need to do the things you enjoy well. Okay? You need a certain basic level of fitness that's been lost. And people think that if you do Tai Chi, you have to just do the soft Qigong. And they forgot that Tai Chi was in the lineage, because Tai Chi is not a style, like it's a system of theory. But in the lineages of Tai Chi, before 1956 and up until like the 80s, there was an entire syllabus. There was weapons. Holding a weapon is weightlifting. Doing the sword forms. And then there was a fast form. There was 2-man sets. You know, there was things that if you're not going to do push-ups and squats, there were exercises in the curriculum that substituted for it. You weren't doing push-ups and squats because you're already too busy lifting freaking, you know, swords and staves and big poles and stone locks and doing hard qigong. And like, there was a whole curriculum set that gave people those things they're missing. And now in the modern age, you know, with including everybody and everybody gets a participation trophy. And, you know, the people who actually like how Shirley got caught up is by the romanticization of respecting the masters and the lineage. You don't question the authority. You don't question what's happening. And you want to, because they're like family, like your fathers. And you don't want to disrespect. And we want that. We want that sense of tribalism to follow the heritage. And then you don't realize that it's hurting you, you know? And and the thing about Tai Chi is also like, you know, like me creating my own system, right? All the Tai Chi masters, they'll train with the master for about 2 years. And then they go off and make their own variations. And that's okay. I was training for 10 years, you know, 15 years before I started Tai Chi. I started Tai Chi in 1995. I've been training Tai Chi since 1995. Training with hundreds of people. You know what I mean? And I've created my own system, which is not my own system. It's all I did was take all the teachings of all the greatest people I found and put them together in a linear roadmap with Western fitness understanding and logic, you know. And then some of these guys will be detractors. He's a gen stylist, and you agree a lot of standards have been lost. Yes, and that's exactly the point. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's the whole point of Tai Chi United. That's the whole point. I want to bring back a basic standard of logic, fitness, reason, and philosophy and honor back, okay? And in the modern times, like, honor is a little different because you have to stand up for yourself and you have to be mean to mean people. You have to know when to hold your tongue, but sometimes you have to know when to tell somebody. You don't have to be like me because I'm from New York. You know, my vernacular can get messy. But you can still stand up for yourself. You don't want to curse, that's fine. But you still should, like, you know, stand up for yourself. If you don't want to yell, fine. But stand up for yourself. Do something. You know? That's my point. And going back to the lack of standards, like there is no, it's because you gotta understand, like when Chen Cheng developed the system, he developed the system at a time after the 1956 era where masters were killed off and the government sanctioned stuff, and they didn't want people learning real martial arts. But his thing was altruistic. He wanted to give people an entry point, some way that everyone can have the health benefit. But you weren't supposed to stop there. It was an entry point. Oh, I learned the system. Now that I understand this and I have this system, I can go and study Wu style. I can go study Chen style. I can go study Dong style. I can go study Mantis style. I can go, and you can go, and because all the old masters used to do that. There would be a white crane master, they would train with the Jingyi master, and they go to the Bagua guy, and they would end up in Tai Chi. You know, it's this idea that we have to stay in our one church cult of Tai Chi wasn't the way it was done in China. Like, yeah, when you found the master, you saved the master, but that's not always true either, because there's a lot of well-known masters who studied with a whole bunch of masters. You know, and my whole point is this: the Chen Cheng style was an entry point. It was made to the mean average where people who were sick can get healthier than they were, and people who wanted an entry point, who were athletes, who were martial artists, had an entry point into the theory. But it's a simplified version. It was literally said it's a simplified version. Okay, great. So then there were some mistakes that were made over the time after he died, and just the way things, because you remember something, those people were more active. Those people, when they came in Tai Chi, were told, oh, you can't do any weightlifting, don't do any more, because first they didn't understand anti-science science. The science wasn't up to par yet, but they had a good reason. You know, these people were super athletic, their lives were hard, they were carrying tension from stress. So don't do any more weightlifting, don't do any more exercise, because it's going to hurt you because you're too tight already. It made sense in the short term, but then you have to say to yourself, what parts of my life does Tai Chi and that style of Qigong trade in, and what parts are it lacking from my real life work? And I'm glad that the other master said it. I don't want to be disrespectful, because he's done a lot of good work and he's an older guy, but he admitted it, like, in his older years, it's been a detriment. He wished he kept the strength. And that was just my observation, but I'm glad that people from the Chen Cheng lineage are now starting to say it, because we need to correct it for our generation and next generation. And then now, after that era, the 70s and 80s started commercialization. Because remember, the 40s through the 60s, karate, everything was karate. Even Tai Chi was karate. Because karate is what came over from the Korean War and all that stuff. Like karate was everything. Judo was karate, everything. Like, even to the 90s, we called everything karate. You do karate. So once the 70s and 80s hit, you had commercialization. People were trying to keep schools open. So now it's like, okay, this is a business, okay? And business is busy in a state of sin. Ness is a state of busy sin-ness. Busy sin-ness. Doing work in a state of sin, right? In order to maintain a school, you have to sometimes, give up your moral in a sense, or reduce the standard. And so you figure the first generation is like, oh, I can't keep the doors open if I train them too hard, and they lower down a little bit. And then, or like they try to keep schools that have like other instructors keep the doors open that aren't as qualified. And then you have the generation after those who get their rank or permission to teach. It goes down a level. And now that person has only been brought up in that school setting, not the traditional settings like I was and they were, but the school setting, a commercial school. So now the next level comes in and they start to teach, and they're trying to follow the business model, and then they're already a step behind the other two masters, because that master gave up the teaching somebody not as qualified, didn't have the time, and then there's also a standard brought down because they don't want people to leave. So now the next generation comes in and the recycle repeats. Teacher comes in, afraid students will leave, school gets bigger, has assistant instructors who aren't as qualified, next student gets his instructor thing, cycle repeats. Every single time. It's like in the old days when you copy the tape, and then you copy the tape, and then the second tape, the magnetism is worse. And by the 10th copy of that tape, it sounds like shit. It sounds like shit. There's something called source amnesia, okay? Where like, if you see the thing with the fascia people, when a theory comes out in the world, the originator of the thought normally isn't credited 3 levels down, right? So people, like in the modern language, when they started pushing the fascia as a word, then you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 level down consumer on YouTube saying it's the fascia, right? And they don't even remember who started it. You understand? So we have this problem of degradation systemically. And me with my high-functioning autism, I just see patterns, okay? This is what I'm doing. You don't have to be a great hacker. You have to be able to see vulnerabilities and see patterns, okay? This is what I do. I see patterns. And it's very clear as day to see it. And I live through the pattern. Is it making sense? It's not just arguing. It's all the way down to the 70s. I remember my masters were saying, it's shit. And I look at the schools and I saw the difference of like the technique that my master... I don't want to say, because I don't want people to track down, like, you know, my personal, but when I used to go to tournaments, I always used a different name, okay? And I always would misspell my name or use different names, because I had a feeling that in these days, shit would get wild. But I was competing in a tournament, and people on YouTube saw the pictures of me doing the tournament stuff, so like, whatever. But I used to compete in power. I was the last one doing, like, the old school traditional power breaking, right? Where I would break, you know, 5 to 7 boards with no spacers, and not like this bullshit. And that's another thing. Look at the wood that they're breaking. We used to break, the standard was 1-inch nominal pine shelving. It was literally 1 inch of shelving wood that you would put books on the shelf. Okay? And it was like, you know, basically a foot by, you know, what was it? A foot by 10 inches? I remember the cut. But it was, you go into the freaking hardware, the lumber yard, and you ask for 1-inch nominal pine. Now they're using 1/4-inch paper, dry. This fucking wood we broke was wet, and it was like 1 inch thick. You could not bend it. Okay, like it was a different level, and I would stack 5 to 7 of those, and I would break with that. But that was the standard of the teachers who taught me. You know, I think the last of that generation was Henry Cho and June Reed. Were like the last who did that kind of standard. You know, and I would go to the tournaments, and in my tournament, it's like that was like ridiculous. It was like people like. Like the teams from Germany and Army Navy team, every year it was a joke. They would come and I'd walk in and they'd see me and they'd be like, hey! And they'd all just come and bring all their boards and stack them on top of me. And I would sit there like this fucking stack of boards. You know, like a joke. And they make me sign the boards. But now you look at the tournaments and what are they using? They're these like 1/4-inch or 1/8-inch like brittle paper, dry, like, what is that? What is that? You know, and then I see this guy, this point fighting guy on TikTok, and he has these videos of people breaking, and like, it's so bad. I can't believe how in 10, 15 years, because I stopped judging in 05 maybe, I don't remember, guys, you know, like, I don't know, maybe, somewhere between 05 and 08, I guess. I stopped judging tournaments. But it was already getting bad, okay? And we go to that another time. But the stuff that these people are missing on, and like, they're like, yeah! They're acting all crazy, and like, yeah, yeah! And then yelling at the wood, and then walking around in circles. They'll have like one shoe on and one shoe off, and then, yeah! And then I go to the board, and it's like, yeah! And there's like animals, and there's no technique. I saw this girl, she's going to break a brick or something, and she aims at it 4 times, and all 4 times in a different direction, and then she hits the side and breaks one, but it's on the, like, you can't even hit the middle, and you're a black belt. Like, what is happening? It's so bad. It's so bad. And imagine, like, this is my life's work, and I treated it like my heritage. You're shitting on my family line. You're shitting on my bloodline because I don't have a family. The martial arts was my family. And like, I'm watching my ancestors being disrespected. It's like, what is happening? And then people say, the traditional martial arts are what? I'm like, yeah, you're right. You can't even find the videos of like Masayama ripping a boulder out, or Jun Ri kicking like fucking tree trunks, or like Henry Cho like breaking fucking cinder blocks and blocks of ice and all this crazy like big shit, you know? And now like you have the hard karate guys, there's still some power breaking left, but the technique is not beautiful, it's shit. They don't have that artistry technique. Yeah, there's some guys that still have the power, but the technique is shit. It's like absolute shit. And we have to fix it, okay? Because if martial arts, if the decorum and the philosophy and that seeking of perfection is lost in the martial arts, humanity's done for. Like, at least in the wushu side, They're precise and they train hard, but they can't fight their way out of the wet paper bag. And then you have the people who can fight, but they're just like brute force, gross motor movement type of people. There's no more of that precision, like, holy shit, because they don't want that. They don't want humanity to evolve. That's what it is, and it's actually conspiracy theory. So with the Tai Chi United, my goal is to raise the standard to minimal level competency. First, you have Tai Chi Gong, Qigong, and there has to be a standard of minimal competency. I'm not the greatest Qigong expert. There's lots of experts online that know way more than me. There's like Bruce Francis, there's Tai Chi. There's guys who are masters of that, who spent years. I lived in a Qigong master for 2 years. I studied the books. I did the practice. I have a minimal level of competency. I can do the basic things. I know what a standard should be. I know what you should be feeling. I know how to get people to get the basic feelings in a way that now, when they have that, they can go and find somebody who's higher level. That's what I'm trying to say. There has to be a standard. You can't say you're this Tai Chi Qigong master when you've gone on an online certification course to go teach people in an old age home. And you're not even teaching the real stuff because you don't even have the real stuff because you never felt it. Because Tai Chi, unfortunately, is a feeling kinesthetic art. There's some things that cannot be explained until you feel someone put the pressure on you. Until you feel someone you feel it. So we have to figure out a way to standardize some things that can trick the body to feeling the basic things, the blood flow, the energy thing, and systemize so that this is the bare standard. If you cannot do this, you're not doing Tai Chi. If you don't have this level of alignment, you're not safe. Your knee's going to break, your back's going to break, you're going to pop a blood vessel, okay? If you put the chi in the wrong place, you wind up with boils and blisters. You need to give people the standard minimal level of competency. And there has to be a standardized format. And if anything, I'll make a certification course because there's so many certification courses of these people who know nothing. And like there's people who I've interacted with here who I try not to shit on because they did help out, but what they're doing, they didn't get the lesson. You're not a master, you're not a Sifu. You never had one, you shouldn't be on the platform doing what you're doing. Okay, it's disrespect to the ancestors, not even to me. So I give some people some break, if they disrespected me and they lied, I give you some slack, but you're one of the bad guys now, okay? You're one of the villains, and you don't realize it. There has to be a minimum level of competency, and with people who have a track record of competency, who've had injuries and gone through them, who've corrected injuries, who've helped people, who've had the experience of being in a lineage, who've had the experience of, if you're doing the Qigong, you've done the Qigong, and you actually understand the basic premise, you know how it works, you know what you're supposed to be feeling, you know how to get people get a result. If you're doing push hands, you have to have a minimal level of competency. Have you competed? Have you at least played against people who have competed? Because you don't have to be a competitor to be able to teach good push hands. You know what I mean? You don't have to be doing it in a sport-like way either, but you have to have a minimal level of competency. And there has to be a standard. You can't just go online to look, because then you have all these paper tiger people. How many people with the fascia bullshit are doing these paper tiger demos? Oh, if you stand like this, I can do the one thing. And look, see, I'm a master. Oh, look, I touch your fascia. Oh, look, okay, just throw the one punch and don't throw it too fast. Okay, look, I touched the fascia. It's like they're not meeting the minimal level of competency for each skill set. And if you're a fighter, you're teaching martial arts, you damn well better have been in the field. Don't come to me talking about you're a martial artist where you've never had to be in the field doing the work. Okay, you've never dealt with people, you never trained under people who did the work, you never trained people who did the work, and you've never done the dirty work yourself. If you've never got blood in your hands, have been trained with somebody who's gotten blood in their hands, or trained people who have to get blood in their hands, shut up, you're not a martial artist, you shouldn't be teaching it. So this is the standard in these three realms. You see? We have push hands, we have Qigong, and just the medical basic fundamentals. Are you physically fit? Do you have joint mobility? Chen Menqing's lineage is perfect for the Qigong and the soft yin side, but they're lacking in the yang side because people are losing their physical mobility, and that is a problem. So we need to correct that. So we need to find a way to get the Chen Menqing lineage, which is very good with the basic self-defense, great at push hands, great with Qigong, but the limitation is that in older years, people are getting hurt, they're losing the mobility, and the masters from that lineage are saying it now, thank God, that they're honest and they're respectable people who are saying the truth. That in their experience, when they're 60 to 80, they're losing mobility, they're not able to walk. I have a lot of injuries, and I have a lot of stuff that I broke my back, I also, I have a lot of trouble, and like if I would have, and it was my, observation that was happening, but I could have been, I was fooled, because I said, you know what, let me give it a try, and let me do it their way, and it actually hurt. You know, and I'm glad that they're saying it now because what would happen to me with all my injuries now? Their teachers don't even know what Pung is. That's exactly my point. And like, you know, when Don first came here, I did that demo with him. I did that on purpose. I knew, look, you guys see what I can do, right? And he was an example of what people who say they're instructors are, that they are delusional. He came to me in a delusional state, thinking that you can just go and be an instructor. You know, like you literally don't know what Pung is. You think you know, but you don't because no one's ever touched you and showed you. Okay, you have to be shown, and it was not just a message for him, but it was to prepare for these times because I see it coming ahead of time. There's a lot of people who are paper tigers who are lying to their people, saying that they have experience. They don't, unless Tai Chi is not. You can get away with learning Shaolin, like long fist and hard styles that require just momentum and like striking the external styles, right? Meaning the powers and everything. So you cannot teach an internal style unless you had somebody under who made you feel the thing, because these are things that cannot be explained without being touched by somebody. It's very difficult. I'm sure it can be done on very rare occasions, but that's why I spend so many times like over-explaining and repeating the same things. I know it's not going to be taught right. Because until someone touches you, and then here's another thing, everyone's touch is different. Even if you have the good mechanics, let's just say the standard of the internal martial arts. If everyone was following the exact same standard, when you apply the force, it's different. It's just different. The way your body innervates muscle, and it's everybody, their souls in their touch. It's all I can explain. But the point I'm trying to make is, there has to be a unified understanding and systemic way of saying, no, this is the standard, or you're being robbed or lied to. You should be able to do these things. If you're a master teaching combative stuff regarding Tai Chi, and everything you do, there's never a demo of like, everything's like this, okay, you come real slow, and you've never actually showed like, okay, this is what it really looks like, then don't say you teach it. If you've never had to use it, you never tested it, no one can say that I haven't demoed the stuff correctly. Okay? Like, a lot of the old school guys, like my attitude or not, my attitude is because I have to be this way. But they know me in person, they know me exactly the opposite. Look at my demos, okay? Like, I show you the stuff in real time. When I show the push hands, I show like all the internal stuff, I show it in real time. The guy's not cooperating. If you're not doing that, you shouldn't be teaching this stuff because you're not qualified. You're not on the level, okay? And you're just like, put your fancy pajamas on and use fancy terms, but you're misleading people. And then you complain as a community that the ancestors are human ancestors from all these lineages passed down to us that we're the caretakers of. You're allowing it to get shit on in the tape cassette being recorded bad over and over again. You're allowing it to happen. And then me coming in and saying, I want to fix it. And that's all I did for the last 10 years. I just wanted to give everyone for free, all the extra stuff so we can keep the standard. What'd they do? They tried to ruin me. They came after me in gangs. Okay, they what they did to me was criminal. With the Fajing Project Group and the Rum Song Fist people and the Damo Mitchell people and all these people came after me. It was criminal. They broke the law. Okay, they literally broke the law. And then people are complaining about how I defend myself. They're lucky I'm not suing them and calling the cops. They're lucky that I'm not a rat and I'm going to smack them. So that's the goal. I want to create a standard that's certifiable, that's just a mean average of this is what you need to do. If you don't want to do Qigong, here's a very basic understanding. If you can't do this stuff, you don't know how to stand straight, you don't put weight in your legs, you don't know how to move correctly, you don't know how to do freaking open and closing, you don't know the basic Qi mechanics, you're not doing Qigong. If you're doing push hands, you have to be able to do, for social push hands, as exercise where you're compliant and you're working together. And then there's a way to do that, and there's rules to it, and there's ways of being social and playing push hands and getting exercise. Everyone should be playing social push hands. Just because people need to touch each other, it's psychologically what it does to your body. People need to be touching each other. That's why push hands is so good for you. The competition stuff, like it or not, is a separate animal than what a Tai Chi push hands meet should be doing for people, especially when you're over 50. You need that contact. It's very important. And your older years, when you get to like 60s to 80s, you need to be playing push hands. You need to be playing push hands. You need social contact and you need instability to really keep you need to keep your nervous system and your things in order. Yes, they do a lot of things, but most people are too lazy and not studious. No, and that's the thing. The psychological aspect is most important. Like, that's the thing. And then, the bad guys, the bad actors will take reactive abuse clips where I'm defending myself, and then they'll go and like push lies, and then they'll make this whole thing like saying, I'm not certified and I'm not qualified. Like, my certification's on my bio. like my certification is me showing you smacking people in the face all the time. Like, no one's more certified than me here. So we have these people who are just bad actors, and then the community, because good people have been taught to not stand up and bind together anymore, all the good people are separated, and all the psychopaths are binding together. And good people forgot how to stand up to gangs. Because that's what the Tai Chi community has become, a couple of bad actor gangs. Because that's how they're acting. The Damo Mitchell Circle that came after me, the Fajing group, Fajing, whatever the fuck it's called, Fajing Project, and the Rumso Fist people, these are gang stalking operations. These are criminal RICO laws that have been broken. Like, these people are like, called monopoly laws. They broke so many fucking laws. There's so many bad things that people are doing. What's what the guy did today was to send a clip of my video trying to cause drama between me and one of Shirley's circle, just to cause drama, right? These people are bad actors, and nobody's standing up against them. So I'm going to do it. And then when people come after me personally, don't tell me how to defend myself. This is martial arts, okay? This is Tai Chi. I have all the right to say, you know what? I've given you 3 months, guy. I tried to be your friend. Let's fucking go. Don't say I'm a bad guy. Like, I'm trying to be peaceful. I'm trying to be the good guy. I've literally done more for the community. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. I have personally done more for the community than anyone in history online. Like, nobody is given as much time away for free and much valuable information for free than I have, because I've been literally sitting there communicating with you one-on-one all the time. You ask me a question in the comment, I answer it, right? 10 years, I've given away free shit and free lessons. Like, who else did that? Who else did that? And nobody wants to give me credit while I was being attacked by everyone. So I think if anybody has the right to say I'm the good guy, it's me, So that's the idea. We have to have a standard in the martial arts. So those are the 3 things. It was, I have to fix the corruption. I have to stand up the corruption and give people a safe place where they can continue on their path without being harassed and their lives destroyed and stolen from. Okay, we have to create a standard of liability of instructors and practitioners within the community. Okay, we have to have a standard where, no, you can't just be a Tai Chi master. No, you can't just make a YouTube channel and say you're Tai Chi famous. You're stealing people's life work. It's stolen valor. If you're in the military, there's no different than you going around and saying that you were a Navy SEAL than saying you were on my level. There's no difference. In fact, it's worse because I had to put in 5 to 10 times more time in than they did in their training to get my level of certification. Okay? Like, and not to disrespect them, I'm talking about, if you talk about the grand scheme of time involved, I've been doing this my whole life. They don't start till they're 18. Okay? And then how many years of service do they have? This is my whole life. And you're going to come in and act like you can just come in and take it because you have a platform? Like, you literally stealing people's information, regurgitating it so that you can be sitting on top of this soapbox and you can feel important. You're stealing valor. Don't you get it? And then on top of it, you mislead people. So that's why I always say, my lineage, original is like, what's up, Dan? So my lineage is, I haven't seen you in a long time. What's going on? So, my lineage from William Chen, my first Tai Chi lineage. And I always show respect. Why? Because they still have some honor. There's people who say I do sport push hands. There's people who say I do it for health. There's people I say I do it for, And everyone is honest, and they're hardworking, and they care about the community, and they don't rob and bullshit people. Right? Like, you've never seen me go after anybody or disrespect anybody who's working hard and not being a scumbag. Nobody's perfect. Like, the older gentleman master from China who put the video about his, nobody's perfect. He has a lot of stuff that he's done really well for the community. But he admitted he made a mistake in his training. That I've made on my biggest lie in Tai Chi, whatever video. He was honorable enough to say it. I made a mistake. I really wish I kept my strength. I really wish I kept my mobility. You know what I mean? the thing that everyone was attacking me for is now being validated by the masters of the Chen Menching lineage. And that's all I was saying. You've never seen me go out of my way to disrespect or harm anybody. All I do is I go after bad guys. Because I'm a fucking sheepdog. That's what I've done my whole life. That's what I was paid to do. That's what I do for fun. People saw me on Facebook going after all the bad guys during the bad thing, okay? It's who I am, okay? I'm a freaking superhero vigilante activist in my heart. Even retired, I can't stop it. Okay, that's who I am. You've never seen me go after the good guys. You've never seen me disrespect anybody. You've never seen me when have you ever seen me go out of my way to hurt anybody that's not in self-defense? When? I'll wait. You know what I mean? No, it's just bad people going around taking snippets of me and then pushing it around these groups and telling people not to talk to me, not to hang out with me, making up lies and stories. People made up fake accounts and sending people fucking messages. Crazy shit, illegal shit has been done to me. People should go to jail for it. But I'm not a fucking rat bitch. Anyway, so that's my spiel. So, we have to create standards, and I created a brand and a roadmap that we will have a brand that actually is more legitimate for the work that was being done on Sifu Shirley's page. You know what I mean? Because she was doing all this community organizing and bringing all these famous masters, like the Scott Modell guy. She brings the Chen guy. She brings some of my friends came in from Richard Clear's places. And she has all these high level people that are respected, and it's under a brand that is corrupted and has nothing to do with the work and the efforts that have been put into it. So due to force, she was almost going to, they were trying to just rip her life's work apart for personal, really bad reasons that make no sense. Okay, because all they had to have was some compassion for her, and those people would have still been able to rip her off, okay, and take credit for things they did not do. But I came in and said, you know what? I'm going to fix it, because that's what I do. I've done branding, I've done management, I've done crisis management, I've done all these things. I have the skills to do it. Okay, so people should be thanking me, not going around and trying to cause drama and division and more nonsense and more trouble and more just everything's destructive with you people. No one does anything to bring people together. Everyone's how can I hurt the innocent people more? I'm the bad guy who's the hero standing up for people, but I'm the bad guy. That nobody wants. Why? Because they make you look bad. Because a lot of the people that are angry at me, they suck and they're liars and they're charlatans. They can't perform and they know they can't stand up to me on a one-on-one, or even a 5-on-1 for that matter. All these guys who don't like me in the Tai Chi community, they're not honorable. They don't have the skill set, and then a goddamn one of them can beat me, and they know it. Even me broken. Okay, I was poisoned. I have my back broken. I literally almost died 3 times, and in this condition, they still can't beat me. That's why they hate me. Okay, not because I'm a bad person. Okay, I'm doing the right thing the best way I know how. And if no one's gonna give me a suggestion of how to do it better, don't complain. Okay, but that's the goal with Tai Chi United. We're gonna create, you can see it with my teaching. All the people who train under me are always happy. All the people who interact with me, who get lessons from me, are always grateful. There's always these evil detractors that come out of nowhere trying to hurt and do more damage. Okay, and that has to stop, and you guys have to stand up to it. You guys have to learn how to stand up for yourselves, because I may not be here forever. That's what I'm trying to teach you. Okay, but as for the brand, when you go back to the branding, we need standards, and I have a quality assurance that people trust. Okay, I have my recommendation. When people try to challenge my my certification, my experience, they're all going to fall flat in their face. It's meant to be a calming practice, but you don't have to be calm all the time. I'm calm when I do my meditation. I'm calm when I do my Tai Chi. Do I have to live like a castrated eunuch for the rest of my life because I do Tai Chi and I'm a Buddhist? Do I have to be a pussy my whole life? Do I have to, No, you have to have yin and yang, fire and water. Okay? You need both in life to survive, and that's the point. If you can't stand up for yourself and tell bad people to shut up, like that comment, oh wow, see, that's the kind of manipulative social engineering you have to watch out for with this ragged breath guy. Those are the people you have to stop. You know what I mean? Because shit like that is these little seeds of division and trying to put people down to attack people's character. That's some liberal DEI bullshit, and that end is over. The era of the left-wing craziness is over. Get with the program. Only 21% of the population is in the left-wing media's polls. Only 21% of the population is left supporting this nonsense. They're brainwashed zombies cluster B disorder, and logical fallacy. The age of the bullies by being bullied by psychopaths is coming to an end. Get with the program. It's time for good people to become sheepdogs again and herd their communities and get us back to humanity where, like, you have some golden era. Not this shit where assholes complain about reactive abuse or you being like a man. Yeah, it's toxic masculinity. I'll show you toxic masculinity right here. You know? No. Just because you're a Buddhist, just because you're a Taoist, just because you do Tai Chi doesn't mean, and that's pretentiousness. You don't have to make believe you're something you're not, because we all know goddamn well, every one of you people who does the Tai Chi and you make believe you're all sweet and so, you go home and you're on the freaking road and you're in traffic, you tell somebody to go fuck themselves. You're sitting there in traffic, fuck you, okay? There's somebody in your life that calls you on the phone and you say, fuck you, and then you go back online and you make believe it's not you. I'm the only one that's honest, okay? And if you're a real Buddhist and you're a real Taoist and you're a real martial artist, you should be honest. You shouldn't be wearing a mask. Let people know who you really are. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking thing we gotta deal with. But this is my personal blog. It's a video log of my personal experience and me sharing to you guys as an individual. On the branded page of the company, it's not me, it's not my personal place. I can't give my personal opinion. Okay? Because that's a corporate thing, that's a school thing. I can't be like complete myself because I have to serve a purpose, right? I'm a servant leader, right? Look up servant leadership. It's actually a thing. You're in a position like that, it's not you. You're not doing it for you. This is for me. I'm telling you as an individual what I think. This is me as a total of a human. When I go teach a class, I'm going to be old Buddhist guy, okay? Like, you know, when I have to go and I'm working in the field, you're going to see me quiet as a church mouse being the conflict resolution guy. This is my home. I'm letting you into my home, and I'm letting you into my heart and my real face, okay? Which nobody else does. They're all wearing silk pajamas. Touch my fascia. Ooh, look at my little thing. Oh, look, I can be a seafood just because I made a channel on a website. Like, this is bullshit, okay? It's bullshit. And that's the whole thing. We need to come together as a community and stop the nonsense, stop the cap, as the, you know, like we have to like and do something about this, you know. And systemically, you have, you know, people who have infiltrated YouTube and all these companies because it's the companies know what's happening is not legal, but it's too big for them to actually police individually. Okay, there's infiltrators who've been causing the problems with the system. There's infiltrators in the Fajin Forum, Fajin Project, and the Rumsfeld Fist groups, and the fucking Donald Mitchells. They infiltrate in their little gangs of shitbags, and they have to be dealt with. Okay, there's people who have become paper tigers during COVID. Sean's been on fucking YouTube for how many fucking years already? They pushed on his channel, right? And then you gotta be honest, like all these other people flooded the market during COVID. Who have no right being there. They're not qualified. And they're teaching shit that's outside their purview. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be teaching self-defense mechanics. Oh, I mean, touch your fascia. Look, you're 400 pounds heavier than me, and I can cut your fascia, and I can move you, and I can do the thing. You can't defend yourself. You move like a fucking snail, and I'm going to pick you up and throw you through a window. Stop teaching martial arts. Stay with you know, stay with Qigong, stay with the fitness stuff. Stop showing people secret ninja powers. You're doing a disservice. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to take a quick break. Any questions? I'll be right back. Sorry about that. If I didn't take a piss break, I would have died. Did I miss anything? Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. So, And nice to see you, Sean, by the way. I haven't seen you in a while. Sorry, I was in my rant. So that's it. And so I know there's going to be trolls who detract from it, and they're going to try to take little snippets and that, but I hope I've made this snippet proof where you can't misunderstand what I'm saying. You know, we need to have quality assurance. You need people, like, look, I can come out with my certifications, and I can show people my certificates and my letters of recommendation, like, from very, very, very influential people, okay? I try to keep myself, you know, I was trying to be humble, but humility didn't work. If anybody wants to question my certifications, something like that, they're going to lose terribly. But here's the problem. Certifications don't mean shit if there's no performance base, right? I'm literally the highest certified person in the field today. Nobody has my certifications. No one has my experience at the top levels in the world, okay? But it doesn't mean shit if I don't have a track record of success. Meaning, there's people who I've done, like, you know, Qigong, that I fixed their life, I fixed their body. There's people who I've trained with where I brought them and I fixed their body. There's people who I corrected their stuff, and there's a track record of success. Okay, so my certifications don't mean shit if I can't implement them. When it comes to my push hands, there's several hundred people in New York City who are very well known, respected masters who I played with. There's students who I played with from all the main lineages that know who I am and know my ability and seen me do it in real time. They've seen me handle motherfuckers. There's people who I slapped in the face in front of their entire class. Okay, there's people know me. Okay, there's videos of me in Chinatown doing all the stuff. You know, so like I have a track record of success. Okay, when it comes down to me understanding body mechanics and correcting people's body and alignments, I have a track record of success. Sifu Shirley was a national champion, okay, who's been teaching for 20 years, who has a lot of experience, who knows all the masters. And when someone like that comes to me and I fix it, that's a track record of success. You have all these people who are YouTube personalities. Sean has been teaching a long time. He has a whole group. I haven't seen him in a long time, you know, but Sean had I don't know, but you had a group going on, and he had a group where people, and they know each other, they have, like, you know, and he's had his fair share of fake masters, and he's had, I forgot your master was his, Mike something. He's had, like, guys that were really good and guys that were really bad, you know, he had one that was really good and one that was really bad, and he tells his story, and he has a community of people who are working and they're getting a benefit. He has a track record of success. It doesn't matter if he's like my level or Mike Graves, right, thank you. And Mike Graves, I've seen, you know, when you showed me his video back in the day, was really good. There's people, I don't know that name, but anyway, oh, that was the bad guy, I'm assuming. Okay, so my point is, it doesn't matter if you're as good as me and you have my, like, no, but you're saying what you're doing honestly, okay? You're honest about your level, you're honest about what you've done, you're honest and you care about the people you're serving, because you're supposed to be a servant leader. Please, if you're an instructor, look up servant leadership. Oh, Guided Chaos guys, I actually have to play with them. They're really good. He actually offered me to be an instructor. The Guided Chaos thing. I got to play with what's his name? Really good, big black guy, really good shape. I got to play with him at a seminar, and he, you know, he said I can come up and do. You know, they want, you know, he would offer me, but I couldn't go upstate to train with them. Like, but he said that they would, like, you know, he would offer me to do the program and I would have done it, but I couldn't get up there. You know, I'm in New York. I didn't have a car to go up there. You know, they're really cool guys. But my point is, like, you have to have a track record of success, you know, and you don't have to be as good as everybody else. But, you know, he says, no, okay. Okay, so, yeah. But they were all really nice guys, and they train really hard, and they tell people, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and here's our track record of success. You know, like, I have to, because I've done so many different things, you know, like, you know, because I have so many different skills and fields that I work in, which is kind of unbelievable for most people, which is why I tried to brand my thing separately. But you understand, like, you know, I do Tai Chi and karate and boxing and this and that. Like, I have so many things where I got to a high level that I was teaching in different places. You know, it's hard, but I have a track record of success. And I tell people what I can do, what I can't do, how far I can bring them. And then you see people work under me and follow my lead, and there's like success, you know? And people like me. Like, you see, like, in New York community, push-ups community, I had nothing but everybody respected me. Everybody, it was like, you know, like, that was the only family I had, was running around in the parks and the push-ups community and, like, you know, teaching here and there, because I didn't have a family. You know, I was an orphan. So, it's like that's all I know. And everybody was always respectful. And it was always like, everything is always sweet and happy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. I come online, it's like this fucking cesspool of evil. But, so my point being is like, people you say, oh, he's now, this. It's not about being the best. We're all on this track record for perfection. We're on the track for perfection. I don't have to be the best. But you have to be the best at you and have some, like, liability of reality. You can't go online teaching stuff just because you read it somewhere else. You're a thief. You're stealing valor. And you don't understand it. I don't want to call people out directly. I'm going to have to soon if they don't start freaking... And one of them has to apologize. And I'm going to give him some more slack until he comes to his senses, okay? But we have this problem where there's too many fake people. And then when it comes to Tai Chi, Tai Chi sucks, and that's not MMA, Tai Chi is this, and you guys don't even know Tai Chi is because Tai Chi is not a style. There's styles of Tai Chi, but Tai Chi is just a theory. It's a concept. It's a bunch of concepts, and there's a whole bunch of masters who had different ways of looking at this Taoist principles. And then they became lineages based on other movements. Because don't tell me Yang Lu Chan form, that's all the other animal styles. All this, it's like, if you look at it, it looks a lot like the Southern styles, and then you look at like, Chen style, that's all long fist. Exactly, and the point I'm trying to say is you have to actually have trained with somebody. You can't go up and take the title of master or sifu if you've never had a real master or sifu. Or if you're online and you are a master or sifu, but you're teaching outside your purview. You have people who are like, oh, look at the little Fa Jing trick. Let's be real, guys. And Google has keep moving my view counters back. Like Tai Chi, Fa Jing seekers are playing English video. The view counters lost several thousand. Like, they roll back my view counters. Like, I told you this was happening since I put my first channel channel up. That the view counters go backwards. On TikTok, it happens in front of my face. I'll open a video and the view counters go backwards, the likes drop in front of my face. Like literally every day, it rolls backwards. It's criminal, okay? But let's just say it's 10,000. 10,000 people saw that video. All of a sudden afterwards, this fad of everyone wants to do the Fa Jing now, okay? And they don't want to give me credit. Like that's the kind of shit we have to stop. There's a defect in humanity. But we need to, as a community, the people like us have to start coming together and bring the community and find community together and start competing over bullshit. You guys do things your way, they do things their way. As long as you're good to people and trying your best and you have some legitimacy. If you don't play free push hands and you don't do competitively or socially, don't teach push hands theory. Don't teach the fascia. Don't teach them how to touch your fascia. If there's not one single video of you playing free push hands, it's disrespect and it's criminal, but you can't do anything about it. When there's people who are not qualified, oh, I'm going to touch your fascia. Look, see, I can move you. Oh, look, you're a big guy. I can hold you up. If you're not doing the thing and you're not able to perform it at a moderate level, you're not an instructor. If you can't play push hands and hold your own against something, you don't have to be a winner, but you have to be able to hold your own. You have to be able to at least look competent. You shouldn't be teaching, and then community is not doing anything about it. In fact, they're supporting those people and kissing their ass, and then the people like us, they're getting shit on. It's upside down world. So, but for Tai Chi United, aside from, the corruption aspect, the business, that's out of the way, and you understand why I stepped in, competence keyword. But the two things I want to fix and I want to put into the brand is some level of competency and standard, a standardization where you can say, this is the standard. If you're learning Bafa Ubu, you have to have a standard. It shouldn't be messy. You shouldn't be out of the line. You should feel some basic energies and know what the energies are. Okay? And you should be safe. Your joints shouldn't hurt. Minimum standard. And it should be taught to you by somebody who has competency, who's been trained by a person who's legitimate. Not 15th level down consumer. Because YouTube's allowed the market to be flooded by fucking paper tigers and fakes and phonies and people stealing content for fucking view money and advertising. We have to fix this. So that's first level of standard. Second thing is to give the brand the sense of what was Shirley's original intent. Her thing was always bringing communities together. Right? She did a video with me and she added me and Jan and a whole bunch of other people, that do Tai Chi, who did the masses watch? Her whole thing was building community. So the old brand, I'm glad it happened the way it happened because she wouldn't have stood up and do what she was supposed to do. But now I'm giving a proper branding that will allow that to happen in a natural way that makes more sense. So when she has other famous instructors come in, it comes in under a brand that makes sense, right? When you're hiring or inviting all these different instructors, like the Scott Rodell guy does the sword, she has Richard Clear guy comes in to do this thing, she does like a push hands meet and Tai Chi day, all these people coming together under a name that doesn't represent the work, and then being robbed of all the work you're being done for no effort, to people that actually to a detriment, it makes no sense. So all I've done was correct the branding because I understand business, I understand these kind of things. So I corrected it, and now I'm creating a roadmap and a system that will allow these things to happen in a more efficient way. And it doesn't matter if you like me, you don't have to like the CEO of a company. He has to get the job done so the shareholders are happy. Okay? I'm not supposed to be everybody's friend. I have to make the bad decisions. I have to say, this makes no sense. That's a bad person to work with. That's a bad contract. Somebody has to be the bad guy. Somebody has to be the bad guy. And the people who are around her who are a little upset that I introduced myself, I'm sorry, but you were there longer. You should have introduced yourself to me. Reached out to me. I can't find you. I don't even know who you are. I've never seen a video of you. And you act offended, but it's not I didn't not make a place for you. In fact, I was designing a place for all of you that couldn't be taken from you. The whole idea of the rebranding is to create something that was proper, that was inclusive to all the people, that fit the objective, and that would have a long-term vision that would make sense, that can be kept going. That even after we're long gone, the succession can be kept going. Because what it was didn't represent it properly. And that's where we're at. So I hope that answers any questions. I hope anybody who's offended, I hope you're not offended, but I'm offended too because people should have been standing up more. I shouldn't be, the only one with the armor doing all the work, doing all the heavy lifting. And, I'm hoping that the good people who follow me start to realize your error by allowing bad people to because it is like the microcosm thing. You've watched them abuse me and get away with it. You've let people lie about me and get them to make you stop talking to me. Okay, because of some political view or some this or that, they've made you act less human, and you accepted it. Look in the grand scheme of society, what's happened since COVID, since the freaking DTD, right? Look what you allowed to happen. People's grandmothers, dying alone and walking in arrows, this the nonsense we allowed to happen, and you have hopefully 4 years, because I'm telling you right now, evil doesn't quit, and you better build your communities and you better prepare, because if they get a chance to go, they're not going to stop. They want us to all be locked down like that. Yes, the green screen guy. They gave me a cool effect, so now I can give you peaceful, tranquil. If a crazy renegade monk screams in the woods, does anybody hear it? Does it make a sound? Oh, that means awful. Okay, so any questions or comments or accusations? I said my piece. Any more, and these people will snip it and try to make me look bad, but I don't mind being, because look, superheroes are the villains and the bad guys. Okay? If anybody thinks I'm a bad guy, they're probably not a good person. Let's just be real. Because I've done nothing but be an outstanding member of the community. I've given out free support. I stood up for people when no one else would. You all saw me on Facebook do it. Okay? I've given you forewarning of all the events trying to save your butts. You can't say I lied to you. I can't say I lied about my superpowers. Okay? I did all the things a superhero would do. Okay? I defended the weak. I kept the honor of my ancestors the best way I knew how. No one can say I'm the bad guy. So if you think I'm a bad guy, you're probably a terrible person. And I don't have any respect for you. And I hope you see what happened to me and you take it as a lesson and do the thing. You're supposed to be warriors. If you're going to cosplay being a Tai Chi master, do what the Tai Chi masters in the old days would do. They would defend the innocent, so they can stand up for the weak, go up against the bad guys. How many of the masters were hung in the street, defending their honor, the country's honor? And you guys are like, I'm doing my mask in my car, and I'm gonna walk down the road with the arrows, and I don't want to fight with them because the bad people on the left will come after me and they'll cancel me. They couldn't cancel me if they didn't let them separate us. So you know, and the whole Tai Chi United brand is like a triple entendre. You know, it's United States, it's United People, it's United Concepts. You know, so it's really a great name, a great brand. I've been sitting on that name for a very long time. You know, and I decided to give it away. You know, because I think it would be for the greater good of the community. It has to happen, and there's no better community leader than Sifu Shirley. You know what I mean? Like I'm a disgruntled renegade monk. I'm a warrior. You know, I'm a freaking bulldog. You know, like I'm not. But it's not my job to be nice. It's my job to be good. You know, I'm a martial arts instructor. I have to teach you how to deal with violence and bad things. You know, like she wants. You know, and yeah, I do health and fitness. My whole thing of health and fitness is to prepare you for bad things. It can't be me. It's not my job. You know, my job's to get things done. Her job is to do the qigong, the nurturing, the community building. That's what she's good at. You know, that's what she's gonna do. You know, my job is just to be, administrator in a sense, to let it be actualized. You know, to create the plans, create this. You know, because that's what I do. You know, creating curriculum. I got paid to create curriculum. You know what I mean? I got paid to manage companies. I got paid to do analytics and things like that. So this is what I do. So that's gonna be my role. And you know, I guess legitimately I'm the grandmaster. I can't, it just sounds so corny, but yeah, I'm the grandmaster guy, you know. But it's true because masters teach instructors, right? So when you're in karate, right, first on black belt is an assistant instructor. Okay, the only reason you get a black belt is because you're now at a level you're supposed to be able to teach the curriculum as an assistant. Second and third dan is you're a senior instructor where you can run a class of everybody up to white belt in like first dan. Fourth dan is assistant master, right? Where you can oversee all the instructors. Okay? Fifth dan is master, right? So you're now qualified by your lineage holder to teach the entire system to instructors. So a master is someone who trains instructors. Sifu Shirley trains instructors. So a grandmaster is somebody who trains the masters, who trains the instructors, who trains the students. That's just my job. You take the title, people say, you're a master. Like, no, I have a master's degree in martial arts. I literally have a double doctorate in martial arts, probably triple if you want to count it. So yeah, I'm a master. It's like, it's a title, because that's what it is. It's a degree. I have a master's degree. You know? So if the guy with the master's degree, the only title that would fit me at this point in my career is grandmaster or professor. And professor is usually in the black Japanese guy circle. The black martial artists, they use professor. And Chen Man Ching was the professor, so I can't say professor. But all my friends back home would jokingly call me professor as a joke. So what else title is there other than grandmaster? It's that's literally the title. I'm the master who teaches the masters, who teaches the instructors, who teaches the students. It's not like I want to be the guy. It's like I have no choice. It's just I've been on the road walking through the wilderness, and now, we make fun of it. Like when me and Sifu Shirley, it's like a joke. It's like a movie where she had to find the master in exile on the mountain who is hiding as a hermit who's trying to be like a peasant. And I'm sitting on YouTube, I'm right in front of everybody, and I'm like the peasant, in all the kung fu movies, who's just hiding, trying to go through life. I play my music, and I walk through the village. I go to the village, and I get my vegetables. I go home, and I eat my vegetables, and I sit with the animals, and I do my secret kung fu. No one sees me. And then she had to go and find, the crazy master because, the Qing is coming to raid the village. I have to teach her the secret kung fu to save the school and save the world, It's comedy. But that's what it is, People have seen me as the peasant hermit, not realizing that I'm the actual, I'm the prince of everything, This world is hilarious, man. But it's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like I'm in a position, so I have to fulfill my duty, you know. So that's where I'm at. Love you guys. I appreciate your support. If there's any questions, anything you want me to talk about before I go, because I'm gonna go stuff my face. I'm still bulking, trying to get my weight back. Well, look at these guns, guys. I'm getting my weight back. You know, I'm gonna show the Tai Chi community that you can be getting old and still, like, you know, try to stay. I'm gonna try to stay mobile, Brandon, because my injuries, car crashes, jumping off of moving vehicles. I've jumped off of moving vehicles. I've done stupid things. Like, you know, I did some superhero things. I fucked myself up. You know, it was cool when I did it, but, you know, like, I'm paying for it. And I hope that, like, get older, like, you know, they don't think, oh, it's the Tai Chi that broke them down. Like, because it's like, the Tai Chi is the only reason I'm walking. You have no idea. You know, but I would like to prove that, you know, as we get into our older age, that we can do Tai Chi and be soft, but also keep our fire for life and, you know, be in your 70s and ride your motorcycle and, you know, still go to parties and still, like, have an active lifestyle and use Tai Chi to heal you so that you can continue your active lifestyle. Not to substitute being an active person, not to, like, give you so much water you die a yin death and you have no fire left in your heart. That's my goal. And that's what I want to bring to the community. All right, so that's my mission. I'm sticking to it. And I guess no questions. All right. So I'm gonna go stuff my face and keep bulking season. Vegetables. I gotta eat my tofu. So, all right, guys. I'll see you soon. And, you know, thanks for the support. Peace out. That was the button.